Hello, and once again, welcome to Tap Time, brought to you by 2-3 Performance. I'm Sports Psych Mike. Today we're going to discuss mindset, how every word and action a parent or coach uses can send a powerful message to the child or young athlete. Have you ever thought about how you communicate with your child, with your young athletes? If you haven't already, I suggest you go back and review the worksheets in the Sports Psych Mike workbook for core values, attitudes, and beliefs. So what is a mindset? For us, a mindset or performance mindset is a mental attitude that determines how you will interpret and respond to situations. Please pay particularly close attention to the words interpret and respond, because following our TAP model, the thoughts that we have lead to some kind of an interpretation or perception of said event. So today we're going to dig a little deeper into the foundation of you. Your mindset is driven by your values, your attitudes, and your beliefs. They lead to these interpretations and perceptions. And while these lessons are in a different video, they're still going to be referred to quite often throughout. So here we'll discuss your mindset and the power words have to prime behavior, how these values, attitudes, and beliefs can affect your thoughts and or perception of an event. Carol Dweck out of University of Stanford wrote a book that's called Mindset. It's a pretty good book, good listen or read for those of you that are coaching or have young athletes, and young meaning anywhere from 7 to 17 or 18. She wrote about the differences between what she calls fixed and growth mindset. So the fixed mindset are people who hold these beliefs that think they are the way they are. But that doesn't mean that they have less of a desire for a positive self-image than anyone else. They still want to perform well and look smart. This leads to a desire to focus on looking good and a tendency to avoid challenges. Rather than failing and running the risk of impacting their self-image, the fixed mindset person often will avoid challenges and simply stick to what they do well. Somebody that gives up too easily. So when faced with obstacles or external forces, one tends to just say, I'm going to give up instead of working hard. Effort. Why work hard if you're still at square one? Why work hard if you're on the bench? A fixed mindset person, this is a person who sees effort as an unpleasant thing that doesn't really pay dividends, so why should they work hard? Ignores feedback. Now, useful, constructive feedback is seen as negative by a fixed mindset person and can even be taken as an insult. The belief being that any negative criticism of your capabilities is a criticism of the whole you. Jealous. A person with a fixed mindset will attempt to convince themselves that, and possibly even the people around them, that the success of others is due to simply luck, favoritism, the coach doesn't like me, or might bring up something completely unrelated to the event and make a statement along the lines of, yeah, he or she was successful, but did you know about, and then fill in the blank. So the result, this person may plateau early and achieve less than their full potential. They may even quit when the going gets too hard. This mindset, this seems to be most difficult for young players if they're sitting on the bench. It is fully exposed. Or if they think that they're being played out of the position that they think they should be playing. If you're spending time as a parent or a coach or an athlete questioning the coach and the system of play, your thoughts are on the wrong darn thing. So the growth mindset is the person in the growth mindset that's going to do the opposite. They're going to embrace challenges because they know they will come out stronger on the other side. They're going to understand that external setbacks or obstacles are not tied to their success. Failure is simply an opportunity to learn and to grow. Effort is seen as necessary to grow and master useful skills, and criticism and or negative feedback are sources of information and perceived only as being about the current level of abilities and not directly about you as a person. This doesn't mean that all criticism is worth listening to. It isn't. But you should examine your role in the event and what can be learned from the criticism, and that is a valuable skill for a young athlete or a young person to have. A person in the growth mindset can also find lessons and inspiration in the success of others. Maybe they worked harder than you, and it can be a direct reflection of that. The result? This is the opportunity for reaching optimal performance if you have that mindset. So how do you know if you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Well, look at the mental chatter that you might have, or the self-talk after you face a setback, after you've been benched. How do you respond? If that's never happened to you, then are you wasting time getting jealous of other players? Are you second guessing coaches? Are you second guessing where you're playing, the system of play? Then ask, what have I done outside of organized practice to improve? If you're not practicing outside of practice, you're just not going to be elite, and it pretty much ends right there. So here's the thing, folks, and young athletes and parents, please pay attention to this. Talent is not enough. It's often facilitated at a young age that talent is the end all to be all. Fast players are thrown up top in soccer and told to just run fast, we're going to boot the ball. But then their technical deficiencies show up because they've been ignored while their speed was being praised. Or these tall, strong players are praised for these inherent traits, and they're allowed to be lazy and get by on those traits instead of learning the technical and tactical aspects of sport, at least while they're young. And then they end up facing players similar in size with good coaches who train them with a growth mindset. That fixed mindset feedback is focused on what is achieved and how intelligent, fast, and strong a person is. So a player with a fixed mindset, their goal is to look smart. And I don't mean try and look smart or to have a goal that says this is a conscious, well thought out, smart type goal. This is a goal where they'd rather look smart and fail than to run the risk of looking foolish and make a mistake. So this player is going to reject a task where they might make a mistake. They're going to hide problems or errors and pretend that they're not there. Their ego, the self, the true person, is connected to the performance instead of the hard work. Ultimately, they're going to fail to live up to potential. So this is developed from coaches and parents through performance praise and performance feedback, meaning you are praising the intelligence, the size, the speed, the looks, instead of all of the things that go with a growth mindset, which are, here the goal is to learn. It's not just to look good, it's to learn every single time that you go out the door. You're actually going to actively seek out challenging tasks, which lead to being open and embracing mistakes because you know that every mistake is a learning opportunity. That ego is directly connected to the effort that is displayed and the effort that is conducted versus the performance. Then the improvements in performance can be seen consistently over time because once you embrace the process, you realize that the focus isn't on the outcome and you're fully present, then you're able to focus on praise and feedback. Now remember, this is developed by the coach and or the parent praising feedback and effort. That needs to be the focus, not the outcome. How many goals did you score? So the fixed mindset feedback's focused on what is achieved and how intelligent, fast, and strong a person is. The growth mindset is focused on how people apply themselves and what aspects of success they choose to focus on, meaning they're embracing mistakes and effort is key. This does not mean that you continually to allow a person to embrace the same mistakes over and over. There still must be a level of accountability. But as long as the learning from mistakes is taking place and you understand that it's okay to make a mistake because you can learn from it, and then focusing on the effort and the you, then you're going to be in the growth mindset. So there are certain steps for enabling the growth mindset, and even if a person is fixed or is growth or is back and forth, typically you're neither one or the other. They're situationally, you're going to be back and forth. Very, very rarely is a person 100% fixed or 100% growth. The net is that you can take steps to facilitate and instill the growth mindset in your young athlete. You have to teach them that to focus on effort and to be okay with struggles and be persistent despite any obstacles or setbacks that may take place. You have to embrace the mistakes and use them as learning tools. Teach your young person to choose difficult tasks, to not always take the easy path. Focus on the process. This isn't the outcome. This is teaching a person how to be fully present and focus on the outcome. Reflect on the different strategies that work and the ones that don't work. So self-reflection is a great aspect of self-awareness, by the way. Focus on learning and improving and teach your young person how to be a lifelong learner. Seek out challenges, just like choosing difficult tasks. Seek out things that you aren't real good at and find ways to make it better. Work hard. I don't know that anything really is going to replace a good old work ethic. Discipline will keep you on track when you don't feel motivated. So you can have all the other things, but you're still going to need the passion and the drive to stay on track on the days where you just don't feel like you're fully motivated. So discipline is another skill that can be taught by you coaches and you parents and instilled into your kids. So every decision in your life is controlled by your beliefs and your values. You have the power to choose what you believe. You can either choose beliefs that limit you, like those with a fixed mindset, or you can choose beliefs that empower you, energize you, and establish a growth mindset, not just in your young athlete, but in yourself as a parent or coach. So how do you know if you're a fixed mindset parent or coach? Do you think about your record first? Are you intolerant of mistakes? Do you blow up and yank a kid out of the game when they make a mistake? Do you try to motivate players through judgment? Are you comparing your players to other players? Do your players play like robots when they're on the field? Are they so scared of making a mistake and letting you down that you can see that they actually play hesitant? Or worse, if it's soccer, if they're constantly looking over at you for approval, you're not doing a very good job of being a coach. Also, if your players can't work themselves through problems on the field, yes, they will make mistakes, but that's part of being a young athlete. You might win a couple of games at the youth level, but you're crippling your players as they get old and as they go into college or semi-professional or professional ranks if you do not allow them to sort through and solve problems on the field on their own. If these things are happening, you may be your athlete's problem. So instead of looking for mistake-free games, demand full commitment and 100% effort. Place your focus on the effort from every athlete. Stop giving your star players a free pass on poor effort. I evaluate hundreds, if not thousands, of games and matches every single year, and almost without fail, there's a star athlete that loafs in practice and loafs in play off the ball, and that is an athlete that will not go very far when it comes to playing elite level sports. And I promise you, the rest of your team is watching this kind of behavior, and it will have a trickle-down effect eventually. So parents, if the conversation with your child centers around playing time after a game or what position they're playing, that they should be playing some other position, how many goals they scored, if it's centered around how bad the refs were or how horrible the weather is or was, or if you find yourself making any version of the statement which begins with, the coach should, and go ahead and fill in the blank. If you're making that statement as a parent, you are crippling your child for future success. Stop it right now. So here's what you need to do. Tomorrow or the next game, listen to what you say to your kids. Tune into the message you're sending. Are they messages that say you have permanent traits and I'm judging them? Or are they messages that say you are a developing person and I'm interested in your development? Write down the things that you say after matches. Keep a little note if you need to, and you will start to see patterns in what you're doing. If you find yourself making excuses for your child and blaming their playing time on anything other than them, you are a fixed mindset parent. So how do you use praise? Remember, praising intelligence, talent, speed, size, beauty sends the fixed mindset message. It can make their confidence more fragile, actually. Instead of focus on the process they use, focus on the problem solving, the creativity, the effort, and good choices. Watch and listen carefully when your child or athlete makes a mistake. How are you responding? That's going to tell you a lot about you. Effective feedback. True constructive criticism is feedback that gives clear information on how to improve something, not general information. Very clear, concise instruction. At the end of the day, you can also write down the constructive criticism you're giving and see if it's as powerful as what you believe it is. We prime the behaviors and ultimately the personalities of our players as coaches and parents. We have a lot of responsibility I don't think taking 5 minutes out of a day is too much to ask if you really care about your child or the kids that you coach. What we're not talking about is lowering standards. I believe in setting the bar really high, but I also believe that kids meet the expectations that we set for them. If you lower a bar, this actually is going to hurt their self-esteem. The growth mindset gives you a way to set these high standards and have athletes achieve them. So praise their effort if you want to instill the growth mindset. As well, focus on the process, not just on the outcome, the wins and the losses. And yes, this is tough in our society, but who cares? Focus on the process, and was their effort enough to where they came out a victor? It will not always be the case. But if you're focusing on that effort and focusing on that process and keeping them fully engaged, you teach them that these mistakes are for learning and embody that the mistakes are learning, then you're setting yourself and your child up for success, not just in the sport they're playing, but ultimately in life. So to recap, a growth mindset is just a skill everybody can learn. The brain's like a muscle. It gets stronger and works better the more it's exercised. Every single time you work hard, stretch yourself and learn something new. Challenge your kids in practice or in games. Challenge them to learn something new, because in your brain forms these new connections, and over time you actually will become smarter. You'll become more adaptable. Mental skills, they must be trained just like physical skills over and over in a systematic manner, and it's best, the growth is best if you can push yourself in your mental skills training program. So you want to know more, find worksheets on how to increase your confidence about how as coaches and parents you're priming your kids' behavior and might just be getting what you expect. Learn about self-fulfilling prophecy and or how you can teach your young athletes how to interpret success and failures for growth. Go to Sports Psych Mike on Facebook, where you can find these worksheets for understanding these skills and a lot more. Also, check us out on p3perf.com. Feel free to take the PI behavioral assessment. Take you less than 6 minutes. Until next time, or the next tap time, this is Sports Psych Mike. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.